guys, it's Selena with Selena Sanctuary, and today we are going to actually talk about the backstory to the whole sanctuary and why it came about and what really made it into the sanctuary. So we're just going to jump into it because there's nothing more I can do but say, let's jump in. So a long time ago, I got my first dog, Miss Maddie May. She is a pit terrier, and it was just me and her for a little bit. And then I got into the world of COVID, and I got lonely with just me and Maddie, and I ended up getting Avery Ray. She is my second oldest dog, and she's actually special needs. She has very, very bad anxiety. She's very scared of men. It's nothing too scary. She was never fightful. She just wanted love. And that's kind of where it started. She brought my love back to life. So a couple months later, I was driving around and I saw corgi puppies for sale. And that is how I wound up with my third dog, Grogu. Grogu is a Pembroke Welsh Corgi. And he is a terror. I thought this cute little guy was just gonna be the sweetest little peach on earth. No, he's not. He wants to fight you all the time. But I thought that would take the love out of it for me, and it really didn't. He was just such a cute little peach that I just kind of wanted more. So one day I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this ad for more corgi puppies actually, and she lived on a farm. And they just didn't take good care of her. They were not putting the puppies first, and that is how I wound up with my little girl, Leia Grace. She is what's considered an American Corgi. She is a Pembroke Welsh Corgi mixed with a Cardigan Corgi, so she has the Merle coloring. She was so tiny when I got her. She was literally maybe this big. And she turned into the most loving, affectionate animal, but she has separation anxiety. So she's also special needs. But a year later, Leia decided that she wanted to have her own litter. So she had her first litter on April Fool's Day. And that is how I actually wound up with my twin, Vader and Ahsoka. They are a mixture of their parents perfectly. Vader is what is termed to be a tricolor corgi. So he is all black with white and brown speckles around his face, and he is his mom's color, his dad's color, and he has the temperament of his father. Woohoo! He's great though. He just likes to yap the entire day. And Ahsoka is actually her mom's pattern, has her mom's eyes, but Grogu's color. So they are just like the perfect pair. They're actually called yin and yang in my household. They are just the cutest little things. And they have their tails because I never wanted to dock their tails. I don't think it's smart. I don't think it's good for the dog. They have to show their emotions somehow. So Leia actually ended up having a litter about 8 months later on Thanksgiving. And that's how Leia ended up no longer being able to have puppies because she actually needed an emergency C-section. So she wound up with no more puppies after that. And I thought, oh, this is a great time to stop. Like, I got 6 dogs, it's a perfect number. Yeah, I was wrong. I was completely wrong. That's when Ophelia comes in. Ophelia Charm is my lucky number 7. She was also a farm-raised animal, and they just weren't treating her right. And I picked her up at 9 weeks. And she has grown into a terror and a half, but that's okay. She is the most cuddle bug dog you could ever meet. She just wants you to hold her and pet her until she falls asleep, and then you can let her go, but if you let go too soon, she will jump on you and she will try to get you to come back with more love. And she is just the brightest, most loving dog you can actually have. She's a golden retriever. She is actually a farm field golden retriever. She is red, so she has a very skinny body. But that's kind of where the sanctuary started off, with just those 7 dogs. And then one day I was shopping through a little sanctuary here in Seattle, and there were these 3 little ferrets. And they were just in this tiny cage. And I was like, I'm pretty sure ferrets are supposed to have 3 levels. a lot of hanging things that they can sleep in, food, and it just looked like they weren't happy. So I asked the lady how much they were, and she actually just was like, you could take them. So I did, and I bought them this big cage, gigantic cage, that has all these little trinkets in it. They have little hanging things, they have a nice pad on the bottom. Even though they don't like to go use their proper litter boxes, they just go anywhere they want. It's a mess all the time, but they ended up being the sweetest three. Like, they just mend perfectly. They all sleep in one area. They always sleep on top of each other, and they're just the smartest, most cunning animals you'll ever meet. They steal things. They love macaroni. They love rice. They just love toys, and they just want to chase you everywhere. And they were the best addition in a way, because they just kind of show you that even if you can't have a cat, those are the next best thing, because they are the hypoallergenic version of a cat. Shortly after the ferrets, I wound up getting Mando, my Norwegian dwarf bunny. She was another rescue that I found at a sanctuary. She was tiny as can be, like literally like this size of my hand. And I took her home, and she is now maybe 6 months old, and she is just very docile, and she just loves to just be left alone. So we just leave her alone. She'll come out sometimes, but she likes to chew Wi-Fi cords. So she's not allowed out often because she'll chew my Wi-Fi cords. But the last step of like my whole entire sanctuary was learning to love reptiles. So I've always loved reptiles in general. Like, I loved crested geckos. I thought bearded dragons were the coolest things. I thought leopard geckos were the coolest things. I never thought I would own a snake. And so it all started with Ricky Bobby, Medusa, and Mr. Snock. Those were my first 3 snakes that came into the sanctuary. So Medusa was constantly being used for educational shows, and she was constantly being moved out of her habitat, and I just felt like it wasn't great for her. She is a big snake. She is a Aztec boa constrictor, and she wants just privacy. She just wants to hang out in her hides and live her life. Ricky Bobby had something called scale rot, and it's deteriorating of the scales because somebody wasn't properly taking care of them. And he ended up being the best snake. He literally is the sweetest thing ever. And then Mr. Snock, I kind of just was like, if I'm gonna get 2, I'm gonna get 3. And Snock was there, I took him home. He ends up being one of the hardest snakes to find in his tank because he's brown and his bedding is brown. It takes me forever to find that snake. So shortly after that, I got Almond and Starburst, my 2 juvenile crested geckos. Almond was in a tank with another crested gecko who was bullying her. He was twice her size, was not letting her eat. So I took her home, and I got her this big tank for herself, and she has been growing. She's been active. She's a little feisty though, not gonna lie. And same with Almond. She was in this tank with no light, not enough foliage, so I took her home too. And she is also feisty and wants to rip my fingers off. I don't know why. I've tried everything, but that's them. And then I decided to just open my doors for anybody that wanted to surrender their animals. And that's how I wound up with Sally, my Savannah Monitor. How I wound up with Ruby, Nacho, Loki, Honey and Nugget, and Pepper, my other adult crested geckos. They all came in like a big, like it was like an instantaneous, like one day. So I went into a hole trying to make their lives better. So they were in these like carrier tanks for like the first like 3 or 4 days of their lives with me, and then they got moved into their now gigantic terrariums with so much foliage that I can barely find them sometimes. It's a habit to try to like open the doors and be like, where are you gonna be today? Are you gonna be in this corner? Are you gonna be in that corner? And then shortly after that came Hercules, Houdini, Mystic, Charles, Cal Naughton, and Cheerio. They all came in a fell swoop too, and they ended up being very different. Every single one of them, different types of ball pythons, different temperaments. Like Cheerio is the sweetest little thing, but Mystic is the most bratty snake you could ever imagine. Like, she does not care if you're a person, another snake, a rat, she's gonna strike, regardless of what you are. She don't like anything. And then also Hercules, who is just the cutest little guy. He's a candy paint, and he is weird. Like, this snake will go around his tank and look like he's trying to like climb out, and it's really creepy. But the one I really want to talk about is Houdini. This was the first time I was home without one of my reptile friends that was helping me out for a couple weeks. And I opened the door to my reptile room, and his tank was empty. And I was like, oh, where you at, dude? Like, what you doing? And I looked everywhere in his tank. I opened up the hides, I like looked around, couldn't find him. I turn around, he's just on the door hinge, just sitting there like hanging out. And I'm like, I've never even held a snake by myself yet. Like, this was not the moment I wanted to do it. So luckily I had bought a pair of bite gloves, especially because you never know with a reptile, you never know what temperament they're gonna have. So I put these bite gloves on, and I was just sitting there shaking, and I'm like, I can't do it, I can't do it. So I was FaceTiming one of my friends, and he was like, you can do it. You can do it. Just pick him up, put him in the tank, shut the tank door, and put something on top of it so he can't get out. And I did. And I ran around the room so fast, and I gently placed him in there, put the tank cover on, and slammed a humidifier on top so he could not get out. And that's how he actually got his name, was Houdini. But the last three, Rex, Noodle, and Echo. So Rex is my bearded dragon. He had a tail disease, so he lost part of his tail, but that did not stop him from becoming gigantic. He is gigantic. From when I first got him, he was probably like this big, and now he's like about this big from tip of nose to tail. He likes certain people. He just kind of wants to chill out in his tank, hang out, doesn't want to be bothered, but he loves hornworms, so he always gets spoiled. And then Echo I found at a Petco, and he was just in a tank with multiple leopard geckos. And you're not supposed to keep multiple leopard geckos in one tank. They're supposed to be by themselves in a 10 to 20 gallon tank. And then Noodle I found in a sanctuary. He was abused and he was surrendered that day. They said he's free, you can take him home with a tank, but it needs to be clean. So I took him out, hung out with him, and he was so sweet. Like, you would never think an abused animal would be that sweet. And he was. He was just the cutest little guy that kind of sat there and was just like, I kind of just want to be in your hands. So he sat in my hands the entire time I cleaned out his tank. There was ash in his tank. There was cigarette butts. It was just not a great space for an animal. So now he has this big foliage tank that he just loves, and he loves hornworms just like Rex, and they get spoiled all the time. But that is pretty much the backstory of this entire 30 plus animals that I live with. It's not an easy task every day. You know, some days are better than the others, and some days you just don't want to do it anymore. But you just have to remember, like, you are giving them the best life you can. And they bring so much joy. Animals are by far one of the best special things you can put in your life that will increase your serotonin. And I really think, like, try your best to increase your serotonin before trying other methods. You know, dogs are great increase serotonin. They are just the loving, most beautiful animals on planet Earth. And the sanctuary has brought so much love to my life. It has shown me that, like, no matter what you do in your life, you can be the best person ever as long as you put your foot down and say, I'm gonna do it. Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the backstory of it all. Bye, guys.